Okay, hypothesis test for two sample pair t-test. Set the random variable and the parameters in words. X1, random variable 1. X2, random variable 2. Mu1, mean of random variable 1. Mu2, mean of random variable 2. Set the non-hypothesis and alternative hypothesis and the level of significance. Generally, the level of significance that can be 0.05, or we call it 5%. First one, non-hypothesis, mu1 equals mu2. Alternative hypothesis, smaller than, greater than, or not equal to that one. However, since you are finding the differences, then you can actually think if mu1 minus mu2, that is mu sigma mu d, population mean value of the differences, so that hypothesis can be this one, Also state your alpha label, generally 0.05, but it depends your purpose, can be 0.01 or can be 0.1. Okay. State and check the assumption for the hypothesis test. A. Random sample of n pairs is taken. B. The population of difference between random variables is normally distributed, and in this case, the population you are interested in has to do with the differences that you find. Okay. Then it does not matter. It does not matter if each random variable is normally distributed. It is only important if the differences you find are normally distributed. Just as before, the t-test is fairly robust. Great, robust. To the assumption if the sample size is larger, and this means that if this assumption isn't met, but your sample size is quite large, generally speaking, over 30, then the results of the t-test are valid. Okay. Step 4, find the sample statistic, test the statistic and p-value. Okay, the difference x1 minus x2 for each pair. X1 minus x2 for each pair. Okay, we can think about, okay, if the group of fat men like me, we have special diet drug or medicine. Before the treatment, we have a kind of weight. After treatment, we have different weight. And the doctors and we patients, we just want to know whether the drug is really working. And now we try to get each pair, because $1 before the treatment with the medicine, after the treatment, and for example, Dr. Lee or Dr. Chen, Dr. somewhere, their body weight can change. But this moment, we just want to know whether the diet drug is really working. We can do this test. Sample mean of the differences. Sample mean D for differences. D bar is equal to sigma D divided by N. Standard deviation of the differences, SD equals sigma summation of D minus D bar, and get the square value, put them together. And the denominator, that is n minus 1. The number of pairs, n pairs, test the statistic, the t-score or t value. Okay, t-score is d bar is here. Put all differences together, summation, okay, and divided by n, minus mu d, and times standard deviation divided by square root of n, where the degree of freedom is n minus 1. Okay, again, In the first time, I will show you how to calculate step by step. And you know my teaching style. Next, I will give a special website. You just type copy or anyway to insert the information. Just click, and you can get all information over there. So again, I hope our first time to learn how to check this, we can use the traditional way. Okay, let's move. The mu-D is 0 in most cases. P-value, you can use this. Sure, P-value for us is not easy to calculate by the calculator, but later I will give you the website, then you can calculate. Note, if alternative hypothesis mu-D is smaller than 0, then the lower limit is here and upper limit is here. Okay, and this is where you write reject the non-hypothesis or fail to reject hypothesis. The rule is if the p-value is smaller than alpha, reject the non-hypothesis. If the p-value at the calculation that is equal to or greater than alpha, generally 0.05, then fail to reject. This is where you interpret in real world terms in conclusion to the test. The conclusion for hypothesis test is that you either have enough evidence to show alternative hypothesis is true, or you do not have enough evidence to show alternative hypothesis is true. Okay, you have enough evidence or you don't have enough evidence. Then confidence interval for the difference in means impaired samples. I know here is a little bit boring, but after we check the real cases, then you will understand this. Find the sample statistic and confidence interval. Sample statistic differences D, that is x1 minus x2. Sample mean of the differences, mean D bar, that is summation D divided by N. Standard deviation of the differences. Personally, I think maybe the test forgot a square root over here. Standard deviation, maybe forgot square root symbol here. Okay. Then the confidence interval of the mu-D could be in the range of D bar minus E, D bar plus E, and the E is TC times SD divided by square root of N. And TC is critical value where degree of freedom is n-1. And how to check the assumption of t-test and confidence interval? Do like this one. Okay. Try to run this. Examples 9.2.2. Hypothesis test for paired samples using formula. A researcher wants to see if weight loss program is effective. She measures the weight of 6 randomly selected women before and after the weight loss program. See the example is here. Is there evidence that the weight loss program is effective? Test at the 5% level. Okay, let's check the number. The lady, first lady, before 165 pounds, right? Should be pounds, not kilograms. Okay. After that, 143. Yeah, significantly, the first lady gets a loss of the body weight. How about the second one? 172. After that, 151. The second lady got rid of her body weight. How about the third lady? 181. 156. Wow. The third lady also got rid of some body weight. The number 4, 185, 161. The number 5 lady, 168, 152. Number 6, 175, 154. And by observing the numbers, we can see, wow, all of them together and all of them, their body weight maybe get rid of maybe 10 to 20 pounds during, after the program. Okay, state the random variable and perimeter in words. Okay, state the non-hypothesis and alternative hypothesis and the label of significant. The label of significant is given by the question 5%. So you have no choice. You need to follow the rules here. C. State and check the assumption for the hypothesis test. D. Find a sample statistic. Test the statistic and p-value. 5. Conclusion and interpretation. Okay, and now I ask your help. Please follow this step. I will tell you how to calculate step by step, and later I will give you some useful websites. You just copy, paste, and you get all information you need. But please do me a favor. Use the formula here and calculate the value one by one. Is it okay? Okay, and I think just time to have a break. Then we can have a 10-minute break. After that, we can have a checking attendance. Then we can continue to solve this question. Okay, see you later. 10 minutes break.